As my work is pretty much all about the way the environment is being changed by climate change, how people are changing the land in ways intended and unintended, and trying to think about ways to express ideas about scientific research so that anybody can understand what's being changed, what might be being lost, how is it transforming. Kluane Lake was fed by the outflow of a glacier that has retreated far enough now that the river that fed it doesn't go there anymore, so the lake is dropping and will eventually disappear. And that causes huge dust storms, so there's this view of mountains across the lake, except when the wind comes up in the afternoon, and then it's just completely gray, fogged out. You know, I was trying to think, how do you show that a landscape is being transformed by climate change? Made a cast of the lake. Actually, I made 2 of them, and then I took the second one and chopped it up. Gridding it out and taking it apart, I'm kind of looking at a way to express how climate change is changing that landscape by deconstructing it. The reference images for a lot of my work are satellite images. The piece behind my head here is based off of a Landsat image of flooding in the spring of this past year.
Yeah, I was thinking, Leslie, something that's really interesting about our work and the way that it relates together. Leslie's work takes this faraway viewpoint, and my photographic references are photographs that were taken by me standing over bedrock. And so she's got the long view, and then I will take the photographs, zoom in onto the details and crop them.
Kind of has a conversation.
It's a conversation, but yet it's different enough so that, you know, we have our individual voices being heard. The source for my work is the shoreline of Lake Michigan near Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where there's an outcropping of ancient bedrock called North Point. The more that I worked with the photographs, the more I realized that I had an emotional connection to this place, connection to the past through the presence of this bedrock, as well as thinking about the future because it will be here after we are gone. Another thing that's kind of interesting about the spot at North Point where I had taken these photographs, the water now has covered all this bedrock because the lake levels are so high. So that the photographs that I have and the images that are reflected in my work, you won't see them anymore. There's one called Enduring Process. I think for me that reflects the process of the earth changing, but now, you know, we need to be more cognizant of how we are impacting that. And, you know, I want people, when they're looking at my work, to have a emotional connection to it that will reverberate with their feelings about the planet, about our presence here. That's, I think, where awareness of climate change has made my connection to my work more important to me. For me, as an artist that works in a manner that would be abstract, I don't necessarily want people to get my work. I want it to be open-ended so that it speaks to a subconscious, kind of like poetry, where the form, the color, the lines connect with them in some way that they can interpret for themselves.
Yeah, you don't want to make work that's so laid out and didactic that there's no room for the viewer's imagination. Because I think that relationship with the viewer is kind of the key finishing component of the work. When I show my work, there's almost always an artist statement that's going to talk about the where and the why of it. Like Jane, I want people to respond to the work itself, not necessarily in a super didactic, climate change means this, blah, blah, blah. I want you to respond to the visual and the emotional in it. Can the work stand without any background like that? Yeah, probably, but I think it's richer, and people will take more away from it with that. I don't think people change behavior because they see a set of numbers or a data chart. I work specifically with multiple scientists, going in the field with them, looking at their research, and taking my understanding of their data, but also the underlying emotion about how the world works. Those scientists are really eager to have ways to convey their work where you can have that kind of emotional response to better understand what they're doing and to share it in a way that's accessible.